This is Kaftan Business News. I'm Rachel Alegbe Ubani. The takeoff of the single currency regime of the Economic Community of West African States is being threatened by the inability of some of the member countries to fulfill the macroeconomic convergence criteria. Director General West African Monetary Institute Ngozi Egbuna, who disclosed this, said as of December 2017, none of the countries met all the four criteria. The three primary criteria are a budget deficit of not more than 3%, average annual inflation of less than 10%, and gross reserves that could finance at least 3 months of imports. She, however, noted that the average performance of the member countries of the zone with regards to the required criteria improved during the year under review. The federal government has signed a memorandum of understanding with Japan to promote quality infrastructure investments between both countries. The Minister of Transport, Rotimi Ameki, signed the MOU on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, while Japan's State Minister of Land Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism, Tsukasa Akimoto, signed for his country in Abuja. The Nigerian Minister of Transport, in a statement, commended Japan for its commitment to developing infrastructure in the country. He asked the Japanese delegation to explore investment opportunities in other sectors of the Nigerian economy, including power and housing. Tunisia will require about $7 billion external loan, which is the equivalent of $2.53 billion, to finance its budget deficit in 2019. Report says the country plans to issue $1 billion in bonds in early October to help cover its 2018 budget deficit. The North African country is hoping to get approval from the International Monetary Fund next year for a new loan tranche worth $250 million. The government is targeting a 100 basis points reduction in its budget deficit from 4.9% in 2018 to 3.9% next year. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, says it will continue to support Kenya's reform efforts through policy advice and capacity development. The IMF representative in Kenya, Jan Michelson, told journalists that Kenya's external position remains strong and foreign exchange reserves are at a very comfortable level. He said the IMF team will remain in close contact with the Kenyan authorities. The standby loan deal between Kenya and the Bretton Woods institution expired recently. Staying with Kenya, its President Uhuru Kenyatta has refused to sign into law the amended Finance Bill 2018 proposed by members of Parliament who want the increase in value-added tax on petroleum products to be suspended for 2 years. This means that Kenyans will continue to pay the controversial 16% value-added tax on fuel products. President Kenyatta has not given reasons for declining to sign the bill, which seeks to suspend the increase in petroleum tax for 2 years. The Energy Regulatory Commission also failed to honor a court order that suspended the 16% increment, saying it has not formally received the orders issued by the High Court in Bungoma. The U.S. government says it will not lift sanctions against Zimbabwe until the new government of President Emmerson Mnangagwa makes reforms. The U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Economic and Business Affairs, Manisha Singh, told the House of Representatives hearing that 14 institutions and individuals in Zimbabwe, including Mnangagwa and former President Robert Mugabe, are currently placed under U.S. sanctions. He said the sanctions are to put pressure on governments and others towards achieving political and economic reforms in the country. India's biggest mobile carrier, Bharti Airtel Limited, has selected UBS, JP Morgan and Citi to organize initial public offering of its Africa business in London. Bharti Airtel, which owns telecom assets in 14 African countries, posted revenue of $3 billion in the quarter ending June 2018, with earnings before interest and tax of more than $1 billion. Globally, the company has about 460 million customers. And finally, small and medium-scale businesses in Nigeria are going through tough times in trying to compete with their foreign counterparts owing to the harsh operating environment in the country. Industry watchers are calling on the government to work with the private sector towards addressing numerous challenges facing the industry and creating the enabling environment for businesses to thrive in the country. And that's it in Kaftan Business. I'm Rachel Alegbe Ubani.